is there an increase in visible delinquency within the black community? And I don't have an answer for that question. So I'm just going to be talking about the question, and this is just a yap video about my opinion on the delinquency of the black man and how it's visible more on the internet. So recently I've been seeing a lot of YouTube posts and a lot of videos talking about the delinquency of black men and women and the black community as a whole. And I find those videos really interesting because yes, I am black. I am Caribbean African American. And I do find these videos interesting because I am a black man that grew up in America, and I do understand what the delinquency is like, not even just in black men, but in people in general. Because yes, there are delinquent white folk, there are delinquent Caucasians, there are delinquent Latinos, Latinas, there are delinquent Hispanics, right? There's delinquency as a whole, but as a black man, I'm noticing more delinquency within the black community per se, right? So why is that? I think it's partially due to how you were raised. There's been a really big decline, I believe. I don't know the statistics on it, but I believe there has been a really steep decline in homes or fathers being in the homes, right? So that's one. So a lot of more kids are being raised in single parent homes, and I mean that particularly within the black community. Um, and over the years, I feel like this delinquency problem has always been a thing, obviously, but I think it's taken to a much bigger effect due to the internet. And that's also like another big kind of issue, I feel like, because the internet is promoting delinquency, right? So my whole issue with being on the internet is that it's now becoming a desensitized topic to talk about fights, to talk about shootings, to talk about jumping through a fast food window because someone didn't get your order right, right? Things like that. And I think it's becoming more of a desensitized topic, and that's not a good thing at all. It's not a good thing. Um, and I think this generation, with the phones and with the access to internet and information, specifically apps like TikTok and Instagram or any social media platform, it's becoming more accessible to see these things, and it's becoming easier to laugh about it rather than to talk about the actual delinquency at hand, right? So the main issue and the main point I'm trying to get at is the delinquency is becoming desensitized, right? It's now becoming normal to do these things. It's now becoming okay to hit your partner. It's now becoming okay to jump through fast food windows. It's now being normalized to speak in a manner that is unprofessional, right? And I'm sorry if I keep jumping around from point to point. It's because like with this topic in particular, like I have a lot to talk about, like genuinely. So I also think another big issue is I don't really like to speak on accents and the manner of speaking, but I've noticed that I've personally been mocked for how I sound as a black man. I don't really speak with like a hood undertone, especially since I'm from South Florida. I don't have that South Floridian accent. I don't speak that way. And if you're from Florida or you watch videos, you know what I'm talking about. Listen to a song of Kodak Black and you'll know what I'm saying. But I don't speak in that manner. At least I don't believe I do. And I think that's partially because, yes, I did grow up with a father, maybe not a biological father, but still a father nonetheless to me, right? And I grew up with a mother. My mother is very intellectual, she's very smart, and, she's very well spoken. And I don't think a lot of kids understand the privilege of growing up with that, right? Maybe the area that you grew up in isn't bad. Maybe you grew up in Section 8, maybe you grew up in some really tough areas, but to have parents like that in your home that will teach you the proper tone of speaking and how to adapt in different settings and how to be socially adaptable, right? I think that's a really big blessing to have. And unfortunately, a lot of black kids aren't getting that, or a lot of kids in general aren't getting that, right? Um, and I think it really shows in social media. I'm starting to see less archetypes of black men. Like, I haven't really been seeing a lot of creative type of black men. I haven't really been seeing a lot of intellectual black men. And I feel like that's really important to have because I don't believe we have a lot of black figures, like really big black figures anymore, like let's say a Malcolm X or a Martin Luther King, right? I don't believe we have figures like those anymore, right? And there are some figures, like I'll say Dr. Umar, for example. But you know what? He gets clowned for what he does, even though he's speaking the truth within the black community. He gets clowned for the things that he says because the internet is desensitizing everything. Everything is becoming memeified. And when things are memeified, right, when you see the real world and when you see how it really is and how these things actually play a factor, it's no longer serious. You can't take it serious because all you're seeing is a joke, right? A fool is the best weapon known to man. Why? Because he could say anything and get away with it without facing the repercussions because he can just disguise it as a joke, right? So when people talk about, oh, well, the Epstein files or oh, this or oh, that, people can make jokes about it. People memify these things and it's no longer a serious topic. And I feel like that same thing has to go for the black community and minority communities as well, or people that grew up in Section 8, or people that grew up in poor housing, or people who grew up on eating from the government, right? I feel like all these things kind of play a factor. But I'm gonna keep this video short. I don't want to make this video too long, but let me know your opinions down in the comments. This is just what I thought, and I really feel like there's a big problem within the black community that needs to be solved. And I think that can only happen if the black community, we all come together as a community, as people, like we used to, like how it was supposed to be, and realize the issues that we're going through within our own people and all the trouble that we're dealing with within our own community, rather than focusing on a bigger black and white issue. But yeah, like I said, let me know what you think down in the comments, and appreciate you for tuning in. See you in the next one.